Hello everyone and welcome to another video on Assassin Creed Ragnarok. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 of the things that I hope are in the game. In the past I've spoken a bit about some smaller things I want and some features I hope returned from previous games, but these are just 5 things in general with no sort of requirements. They don't have to be gameplay things, but things to do with story, setting and all of that. So without further ado, let's get into 5 of the things that should be in Assassin Creed Ragnarok in my opinion. Now the first thing that I think should be in this game is an entirely new naval system. We've seen naval in the last 2 Assassin's Creed games, but I feel this game is the chance to really flesh it out. In both Origins and Odyssey, it's been quite to the side, I suppose, which isn't really surprising considering naval isn't really at the forefront in either of those games, and it does make sense for it to be that way, instead of, say, Black Flag or Rogue, where it's right at the front and is one of the main gameplay features. In the case of Ragnarok though, we know this is a game about Vikings, who often travelled via ship and even invaded various cities and settlements by sea, so there's definitely an opening for naval if Montreal 3 want to add it. I'd like to see something like a more refined version of what we got in Origins. The Viking era predates cannons, so it would make more sense to see some of what we had in Origins come back, with things like upgrades, customization, and maybe even the ability to use the ship in free roam. Now at the number 4 spot on this list, I put an actual focus on the assassins. This is something we haven't seen properly for years. Odyssey didn't feature the assassins, Origins featured them at the end, and even then they weren't really assassins yet, and Syndicate did have assassins, but you wouldn't really know, there wasn't really that much of a focus on it, and the Templar assassin conflict was switched out for the Blighters and the Rooks, which was definitely a worthwhile decision. You know, in fact, I'm doing this all again. Okay guys, so the number 4 spot on this list is a focus on the origins of the Rooks and the Blighters. Now I love both the Rooks and the Blighters, and they're one of my favourite things, not just in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, but the series as a whole. Alright, seriously though, the last game that had a brotherhood of assassins throughout and something of a focus on the Order was Unity, and it's definitely time we saw some more of that. Something that was really fun with every new entry was seeing how each setting changed the Brotherhood. The assassins in, say, Assassin's Creed 1, Black Flag and Unity for example, are all very different, and I think it'd be really interesting to see the Viking spin on the Brotherhood. Now at the number 3 spot I put a dense world. By this I don't necessarily mean small, but I mean I want the world to really fill itself out and feel alive as opposed to being big for the sake of it. I'll link a video in the description and on a card now where I take a look at those leaks that say we get to go all over Europe in this game, where I talk about the possibility of that in full. But to put it short, I quite like the idea of these kingdoms, as they were described in the leak, having a few cities across Europe that were just cities as opposed to entire countries. Maybe we could have parts of Scandinavia as the main overworld and then also have these smaller kingdoms. I feel as if there's such a thing as too big, and the goalpost for what is too big change depending on things like development time and the size of the team, and this game is no different. I've seen a lot of people say that this game has the potential to be the biggest and that that's a great thing, but I don't think that that's inherently good. If the world has an immense amount of detail and liveliness and just so happens to be the biggest, then that's great, but I'd much rather prefer to see a world smaller than, say, Greece that's detailed and immersive than one that's bigger and lacking of life. Now at the second spot on this list of things that should be in this game is the first civilization. The first civilization had such a huge impact earlier in the series that's kind of just died out now. We only got them in the DLC for Odyssey, and I think the first civ should be in the actual base game, considering their importance in the grand scheme of the franchise. It really added to the sort of intrigue we had in the early games, where every time a game ended, you really wanted to know what happened next. And it was another thing very unique to the series, and in older games I'd always look forward to reaching the end and finding out more about this mysterious first civilization and all of their plans. You could do something interesting in Ragnarok with that for sure, because these people were so religious and dedicated to their gods, you could have some of them have a cult-like appreciation for them, similarly to how some of the sages obsessed over Juno. However it would be done, I just really like to see it. It'd bring back something that's very classic AC, to the modern games, and they should have been in the last few anyway, or the base game at least, but I just really think that they have to be in this game. Alright, so the number 1 spot might seem weird in comparison to the others, but I want upgradable bases and hideouts. I know this probably seems the most minor, but other things on this list like the first sea of the world and the assassin focus aren't really setting based, so I thought I'd include at least 2 that are. Having safe houses is something that I love in Assassin's Creed, and so are all of those sort of micromanaging elements of upgrades and all that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be cool if our base or bases could be attacked by enemy Vikings and we'd have to defend it. We could fight them off, but could also upgrade our defences as well. I know this probably sounds the most far off out of these, and it probably is, but just consider we got those large scale conquest battles in Odyssey, and we're likely going to have some sort of camp or safe area in the game, so when you put these 2 together, that's what you get, and it'd make for some great side content, and it's just something I personally would love to see. Anyway guys, that is it for today. I really wanted to do a far less specific video like this because for some reason every video I've done about things I want in the game has been focused on one thing or multiple things that sort of have to fit a video requirement. So I thought I'd do this, and there's definitely more I can do with this idea, so if you did enjoy the video I'd really appreciate a like, and if not, maybe let me know why. And if you want to watch more of my Assassin's Creed content, be sure to subscribe. Anyway though, that is it for now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.